17 minutes past. Should people who smoke, which has been linked to a wide range of fatal diseases, be encouraged instead to switch to smokeless tobacco, chewing tobacco, which causes fewer fatal diseases? Dr. Rodu thinks so. He's the chairman of the Department of Oral Pathology at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. He's written an editorial for the American Journal of the Medical Sciences, which supports that idea. Dr. Greg Conley strongly disagrees. He is a spokesperson for the American Dental Association. He's also the director of the Massachusetts Tobacco Control Program. He joins us this morning from WCBB in Boston. Good morning, both of you gentlemen. Thanks for being here this morning. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Rodu. Basically, you're saying let's exchange one evil for another.
That's correct. But first of all, a minor correction. Chewing tobacco isn't what it used to be. It's not your baseball hero's image. You can set aside that image and look instead at a lifesaver, because the newer smokeless tobacco products are no larger than a lifesaver, and there's very little spitting.
But it's not about spitting, I don't think,
exactly.
or personal health. Or manners in the office. It's about what it does to you health-wise. Is it right for you to suggest that instead of just quitting smoking, that someone should take up this other habit? It won't kill you as fast, but it is still bad for you.
There are 46 million American smokers, many of which are either unable or unwilling to quit. For those people, a switch to smokeless tobacco may have substantial health effects, decreasing their risks for all tobacco-related illnesses. In fact, the bottom line is, right now the carnage is about 419,000 deaths every year. If that switch happens, the death rate would drop to less than 10,000.
Dr. Conley, do you dispute those numbers?
Number one, you don't decrease your risk to tobacco. Tobacco is tobacco is tobacco, whether you chew it, smoke it, or put it in your mouth. You significantly increase your risk to mouth cancer. Long-term users have a 50-fold increase in mouth cancer. So what you're doing basically is you're trading body parts, one cancer for the other. And I would just point out, from a medical ethics perspective, I don't know anybody, any physician or dentist in this country, that would turn to a smoker who quit and say, I'm going to write you a prescription for a known cancer-causing agent, while we have nicotine replacement therapy, such as patches, that we can prescribe as health professionals. The first and most important thing is you don't harm your patient. You don't tell your patient to use a harmful product. But let me point out, too, is that the article was an editorial. It was an opinion of one individual. It was not the opinion of the journal. When every major health organization in this country has looked at the issue and carefully weighed the evidence, the American Dental Association, the National Cancer Institute, the World Health Organization, every organization has said smokeless tobacco is not a safe alternative to cigarette smoking. It's like jumping from the 3rd floor versus the 10th floor, and it's something health professionals don't advocate.
Now, Dr. Rodu would say that in private, not publicly, but that in private, many people you've spoken with have in fact said, well, yeah, it's better than smoking. If they're so addicted to the drug and they can't give up the nicotine, then I'd rather see them spitting than puffing.
Absolutely. In fact, most major organizations don't recommend any form of tobacco use. Neither do I. But the bottom line is, if you're going to use tobacco and you're committed to that kind of addiction, a switch to smokeless tobacco will reduce all health risks, including those of oral cancer. Now, the 50 times oral cancer is as exaggerated as spitting. Dr. Conley knows that the risk for oral cancer is about 4, not 50.
Dr. Conley, some people who have agreed, if not publicly, with Dr. Rodu say it's sort of like the birth control debate among teenagers. You know, it's just because you don't teach them or don't tell them about it, it's not going to mean it's not going to happen. So if smokers are addicted, do you see any justification? Do you believe that there are fewer mouth cancers than with smokers?
Absolutely not. There's no comparison between the birth control debate and using tobacco. The message we have to get to the public is tobacco in any form is harmful to health. To tell someone they can develop a mouth cancer in lieu of a lung cancer really raises many, many serious ethical concerns. And for a physician or a dentist to prescribe that to a patient,
you think it's irresponsible?
To me is I would say I would check my malpractice. If that person does develop mouth cancer and turns back to the dentist and says, well, gee, doc, you told me to quit smoking, now I've got mouth cancer, what do? I would have a pretty good lawyer. But let me come back and make a very important point, is the people that use these products are not adult smokers. Less than 3% of people who have quit smoking have turned to smokeless tobacco. The people who use these products are teenage boys. And the only group that's going to benefit from this debate is the U.S. Tobacco manufacturers that make these products. This is called the Skoal Bandit. While we're debating about manipulating nicotine levels in cigarettes, one manufacturer lowered nicotine yield to create this starter product as part of a graduation strategy.
Doctor, I'm sorry I have to cut you off. We are out of time, and I just want to say you were not funded, Dr. Rodu, by the tobacco industry at all in your research?
That's correct.
Okay. We'll be back as Good Morning America continues.